Hey guys, so over the last week, you guys have been submitting your questions to me through Facebook, through Twitter, through YouTube, and there's now over 100 questions that will take me so long to answer. I thought that I should just do this in a live Q&A session. So I'm going to read those questions, and if I have enough time at the end, I have to get off at 11 p.m. PST. If I have enough time, I'll take additional questions by individuals who are watching in the chat room. So let me just make sure that we have everything going. Okay, I think we have that sorted out. So let's get to the questions. So Andre from Twitter wants to know, is there a correlation between internet usage / availability / penetrability and Bernie Sanders support? I would say yes, although I don't have evidence to back this up, but it just makes sense because if you have the internet, you're going to be exposed to more information and data and potentially Bernie Sanders, because on the internet, you don't see much support for Hillary Clinton. But if you go to channels like YouTube, you see a huge amount of support for like Bernie Sanders shows like the Humanist Report, like Tim Black's program, like Benjamin Dixon. So you don't get that exposure if you don't have the internet. So yeah, I think that there is a correlation, but we don't have the evidence to prove it. Getting to Sebastian Fontler's question from Twitter. He says, how do you think Bernie Sanders would handle sexual education and his stand on abstinence programs? So I would imagine that he would be in favor of I'd imagine he's not in favor of abstinence. I'd imagine he's in favor of actual health programs, of actually giving contraception out to youth. That's the only thing that makes sense for Bernie Sanders, because he's secular and all of his policy positions are rational. So I wouldn't expect him to take a 180 and have a really non-progressive position on this one issue. So let me check the chat really quick, make sure. So, okay, so we got 17 people watching. So it's live. This is the first live broadcast that I've ever done. So I have no idea if this is going correct, if you guys can even hear me or whatnot, but we're doing it. Give me 1 second to check if I could pull up the chat, because I can't really see the chat right now. Yeah, it's not coming up, guys. So I may not be able to take questions through the live broadcast, but we'll keep going this way. Okay, so another question from Julius on Twitter. He says, how in your opinion, a Cruz presidency would influence the U.S. society? Would it become more conservative? I don't necessarily think that U.S. society would become more conservative with a Cruz presidency. I just think that it would influence us negatively, and that our standing in the world would be reduced. And evangelical crazies will be super excited, and maybe there's more, let me be careful with my words here. I think that maybe they'll be more confident and will be more inclined to push forth legislation that like hurts the LGBT community, particularly the transgender people now, because that's so popular. So yeah, I don't think he's going to actually make us become more conservative, but it's not going to be good for our country. Okay, so Sebastian Fontler, another question from him on Twitter says, have you done a video explaining your childhood parents' beliefs, like a general biography? No, because I think that my general biography is pretty boring. My family is a poor family. My parents didn't graduate high school. They're Hispanic, and basically all of their lives, they've been trying to get me and my brothers and sisters into some type of schooling or whatever to actually help us and to live the life that they always wanted to live or give us. And so, yeah, I'm trying to make up for that. I am a first-generation college student, so they're extremely proud. But other than that, I don't necessarily think that my biography is very interesting, so I won't bore you with the details. I will say that one thing that many people are shocked about somehow is that I grew up in a very evangelical, conservative Christian family. We were very, very conservative and Christian. So if you think Mike Huckabee is someone that is like a crazy theocratic leader, we were pretty crazy in terms of theocratic and whatnot. So thankfully, I grew out of that very quickly once I started college and was exposed to actual facts and data. But yeah, that's probably the craziest thing about us. So another question from Sebastian Fontler. So he says, what sparked your interest in politics / analysis of politics, and what are your hobbies outside of YouTube? So in terms of the hobbies outside of YouTube, right now I don't really have very much because I'm a PhD student full time. I also am a research assistant. And look, if I have free time, I usually am so tired that I just watch something on Netflix really quick. So like House of Cards, love that show. So that's one of my hobbies, I guess you could say. In terms of what got me interested, I talked about this before on the channel, but I was a college student who didn't know very much about politics. I was going to major in English, but I took a 15 credit course called War, and in it you were given a really objective analysis of the impact of war, both from a foreign and domestic point of view. So we not only saw how it impacted the troops, American troops that is, but also how it impacted citizens abroad, like in Vietnam, for example. How I watched an interview of a woman who lost her sister in the Vietnam War, and it was her story resonated with me so much. It had a lasting impact. Now, this was in 2008 when I took this class, when the 2008 presidency was well underway, and what Obama said really resonated with me there. So it was kind of a perfect storm of that class and Barack Obama that influenced me to major in political science. And once I decided to major in that, I loved it so much. After I finished my undergrad, I decided to go to grad school and get my master's in political science. Once I finished that, I still wasn't satisfied, so I am now currently pursuing a PhD in public policy. Okay, let me take a quick break and look at the chat really quick and make sure that we have this actually going. So it looks like, okay, 47 people watching now. I feel like someone who's like tech illiterate, but whatever, we're going. And it's this is why I don't do live shows, people, because I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, so getting to another question, the Carpet King on Twitter asks, what types of genres of music do you like, and what's your favorite bands? So in terms of genres, one of my favorites is rap and hip hop. I have a particular affinity for West Coast rappers like Ice Cube, Snoop Dogg, Tupac. I love NWA. When it comes to my favorite bands, those are it. My favorite song probably is the Ghetto Boys, Damn It Feels Good to Be a Gangster. I have no idea if they're West Coast or East Coast or where they're from, but I love that song. That's one of my favorites. I like those types of melodies and whatnot, supplemented by rap. It just sounds so good. And in terms of music or other genres of music, I'd say R&B is probably my favorite now. I like artists such as JT the Fourth, Roy Woods, Party Next Door. I used to like The Weeknd, but once he got mainstream, his stuff didn't really do much for me. I like the really gritty, dark R&B. And I also like EDM as well. I typically like house. I like some dubstep, some bro step. I really enjoy music with vocals, with really upbeat dubstep-y choruses. So that's what I like. Yeah, a lot of old school stuff, old school rap, old school R&B. That's what I'm into. But I also like the new stuff, but typically more indie artists. I'm not a big fan of mainstream, not to be a hipster, but the stuff that's on the radio or that is mainstream and whatnot, not a big fan of it. Okay, so Feel the Burn on Twitter asks, cool idea. Do you believe Sanders is done if he loses New York? Okay, so the cool idea was in response to something else. If he loses New York. So here's the thing. You can't just say yes or no. If he loses New York, I could just preemptively say that would be a bad thing. However, it would depend, because if he wins several states in a row by a very large margin, then if he loses, it won't be that big of a deal. He just has to start winning by bigger margins. So at this point, since he lost Arizona by a high degree, oh, hang on one sec. So I'm getting a notification on Twitter saying that the live show isn't showing up. Hang on one sec. Live show only through this link, not showing up in YouTube on your homepage or videos. Let me click that again and see. I do have 52 people watching. Okay, so people want a comment board. I don't know how to do that, guys. Let me try to figure that out really quickly here, because I haven't done this before. So let me bring up the live control room. Yeah, I don't know how to do that. Let me cancel and go back. How about this? Let me check in Google and see if I can bring that up. Chat. I just brought up something. I don't know if I'm just chatting with myself here. Yeah, I'm not seeing the chat either. Okay, guys, I honestly don't know how to bring this up. Maybe I should. I thought it was just going to come up automatically. I'm kind of going through my... And see, when I open up a chat window, it just gets an invalid request. I don't know what's going on. Hang on one sec. So let me put a comment in YouTube. I don't know how to bring up the comment board. Okay, so I'm going to continue going until I get an answer because I would like to get the comment board up. That was my whole intention. If I finish these questions, then I'll just go and take questions from the live audience. But I have no idea what I'm doing, guys. But next time I'll have to figure that out beforehand. But anyways, getting back to if Bernie Sanders loses New York, is it over? It just depends on how well he does. Because if he loses New York by a slight margin, but wins in other states by a big margin, he can make that up. So it's really particularistic. Okay. Mohammed Aden on Twitter asks, do you think Sanders can win Washington while he is confident he has predicted he can get 40% of the numbers Obama got in 2008? So basically you're saying is he thinks he can get 40% of the numbers of Obama. Is that enough to win Washington? Look, I think that he's going to win Washington because it's a Pacific Northwest state. And up here, we love Bernie Sanders. And also it's a caucus state. So Bernie Sanders always does better. So if I had to guess, I'd say he's probably going to win Washington. But we'll see what happens. Jay Dogan asks, are you a socialist? What do you think about the left forming a new political party? Do you read Jacobin Mag? I don't read that. I don't know what that is. I'm sorry. In terms of socialist, I don't know that I would consider myself a socialist. I'm also not a capitalist. I think the best term to describe me is social democrat because I'm not really a socialist, but I'm also not really a capitalist. I want a mixed level of both. Just pure socialism is too much. I like the free market, but too much of a free market is bad. So I like regulations. So I'm a social democrat. I think that's the best way to characterize myself. In terms of the left forming a new political party, it's really difficult in our electoral system. We live in a two-party system, not because, it's in the Constitution that we have two parties. That's not the case. We live in a two-party system because we have a majoritarian winner-take-all system. It's called Duverger's law, where in these types of electoral systems, you always just get two parties, and that's really frustrating. So that's why we don't have it. Okay, let me get back to the chat really quick and see if anybody knows about this situation. Because I would like to get up the chat. Hang on. Okay, if you guys don't mind, let me just Google it really quick. I just thought it was going to be automatic. Sorry, guys. Chat. So yeah, live chat is enabled by default and will appear to the right of the player only when your event is active. So this may just actually be a YouTube problem because when I click to open the chat, the live chat in a new window and whatnot, I'm getting like an invalid request. So I don't know if it's something I'm doing. It's probably something I'm doing, but it could be the case that YouTube is acting up as well. I would like to have the chat up, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to figure this shit out, guys. So yeah, because when I view it on the watch page, I am not seeing anything to bring up a chat. Yeah, somebody just copied and pasted the same Google article that I came up. Live chat module only exists on YouTube watch pages. It does not follow embedded players. So navigate to edit. So there's something to check or uncheck live chat box. So hang on one sec. Oh, no, never mind. That's something different. Well, shit, guys. I don't know if I can bring up the live chat, but here's what I'll do. If I have time, because I have to get off at 11, what I'll do is I'll just have you tweet me with questions that you want me to ask. If I have time, I have a lot of questions, so I'm not 100% sure that will be the case. But but we'll see. Because yeah, I don't know if it's YouTube or it's me that's acting up. I haven't disabled it, and it said it's supposed to come up just by default. So I don't want to spend too much time on that. I'd rather get to the questions. But next time I'll have this sorted out. This won't be the last time I do this. So let me get back to the questions because I want to make sure I get to all of them if that's possible. Okay, so Wesley Z3 on Twitter wants to know if Sanders loses to Hillary, but she loses to Trump, would that mean the end of the Democratic establishment? Not at all. They are not going anywhere, regardless of the outcome. The establishment for both parties will be as strong as ever. I just don't think it would happen. So Dorj Bolaskine on Twitter asks, given the recent AZ election fraud, what can be done to correct this? Is a revote for Arizona possible? I would say it's necessary, but probably unlikely. However, when it comes to election fraud in Arizona, I will have a video on this tomorrow. It's comprehensive where I go through it in details. Also, I had a chat with Tim Black. We're going to have a video on his channel on Saturday where we talk about AZ election fraud, and basically we just vent. So I'll give you more details then. Everything you want to know about my opinion on that will be revealed. Wesley Z3 has another question. Do you like anime and video games? I don't watch anime, but I do like video games. I just don't have time to play them. So one of my favorite games right now is Mario Maker for the Nintendo Wii U. And when I have time to play that, I play that shit for hours. Like I love it. Another game I'm looking forward to is Uncharted 4 on PS4. I played through all the last 3 and love it. Okay, so Anne on Twitter wants to know, will you be at the Bernie rally in San Diego today? So this was on March 22nd, so it's clearly over now. But I'm in Portland, Oregon, and we have a Bernie rally tomorrow, but I can definitively say that you will never see me at a Bernie rally because there's too many people that show up to the rally. And let me just say, I am not good with crowds at all. So I will not be going to any rallies where there's that much people because I can't handle it, man. I cannot handle it. I'm not one of those people that can be around that much people and function. I would be like super nervous and I couldn't. So even though I love Bernie, I don't think it's gonna happen. Okay, so let me tell you guys this, an update on the chat situation. I can see your guys' comments that you leave on YouTube. So if you do want to leave a comment on the YouTube video for this live chat right now, you can do that, and I can see them. So it sucks because, you know, it's not the same thing, but it's something. So we'll go with that, and I'll leave it at that. But next time, I'll be sure to make sure that the live chat is enabled because that's kind of disappointing. But okay, getting back to the Q&A. So iRise on Twitter asks, there's a video of Bill saying rude things about president, fact or hoax, because there are many who wonder. We have the video. What she's referencing is the video where Bill Clinton called Obama's legacy awful for the last 8 years. We don't have to think this is a hoax. We have the video evidence of it. Now he's probably going to say that he misspoke or something. I don't know his response to it yet. I haven't followed up on it, but he said it, and you can believe it. You can put away your tinfoil hats. You have video evidence of him talking shit about Obama after this whole time. Hillary has been praising him and criticizing Bernie Sanders whenever he says anything bad about President Obama. So there you have it. You can believe it. Okay, Joshua Pearson on Twitter wants to know, do you know the Young Turks and Kyle from Secular Talk, and have you ever talked to them? I've talked to Cenk and Kyle very, very briefly on Twitter. That's it. The only one I talked to from TOIT is David Pakman. David Pakman reached out to me when I had like 3,000 subscribers, and he's incredibly nice. Me and him are in contact if I need to reach out to him. I have his contact information and vice versa. He's a good dude. I really, really like David Pakman. Not just the show, but just as a person. So he's the only one from TYT that I keep in contact with. But when it comes to the second generation of progressive news shows like Humanist Report, Tim Black, Benjamin Dixon, Debbie, we all are in contact with each other pretty frequently. So that's the people who I kind of talk to more because we all kind of emerged at about the same time. I think Tim Black's probably been around longer than all of us, but that's the people who I keep in contact with mostly from the progressive shows that you see online. Okay, so Bryce Keek asks, I like your stances on feminism. However, I would like to know more on your opinions on the regressive feminists today. So what you're probably speaking to is the third wave feminism, or the feminists that you see on Tumblr. So I'll just say this. I call myself a feminist, but I don't care about the labels. You can call me a gender egalitarian, whatever. If you like a different label, here's what I want: just gender equality across the board. And my research has kind of influenced me to jump on the bandwagon of feminism. I was always in favor of women's rights, but I didn't really identify with the label until I went to school and became a graduate research assistant. And for my master's thesis, I studied Islamic feminism and feminism in the Middle East and North Africa. So I think there's a need for feminism, but when you have people on Tumblr, for example, or social justice warriors who will completely destroy the cause of feminism just to prove a point, I disagree with that. So, for example, what they would like to do, now I'm generalizing here, so they would prefer to, rather than have a discussion about people who aren't feminists, they would like to just ban speech. They would like to ban you from saying something that may be perceived as sexist, and I disagree with that. So I am not in favor of third wave or regressive feminism. I'm in favor of discourse and discussion and gender equality across the board. And this means when it comes to, like, for example, where men are disadvantaged in the court system, I'm not in favor of that. When it comes to the hiring process and how mothers are disproportionately discriminated against in hiring, I'm not in favor of that. I want equal gender parity. And I would like to see descriptive representation for women in the legislature as well, because right now we only have, like, I think 20 or 30% women in Congress, and I think that's a shame. We need more women. There's certainly the demand. The problem is the supply, because political science studies show that even if a woman is qualified, she's much more likely to feel as though she's not qualified. And even if, you know, they are technically equally qualified in comparison with men, they'll feel like they're not qualified. So there's definitely a supply issue. We need more women to run for office. And if you're a progressive woman, run. We need you to. But if you're a progressive in general, just run. But kind of a long-winded answer, but that's my thoughts. Okay, M on Twitter asks, what state are you from, and have you gotten all your friends and family to vote for Bernie? I'm from Oregon, and damn right, everyone I know is voting for Bernie, except for my brother. He's conservative. We don't talk about politics, but everyone else voting for Bernie. Jeremy on Twitter asks, when can we vote for Tim Canova? You can vote for him in August. That's when the Florida primary occurs. But when it comes to other Bernie-crats like Alex Law, you can vote for him on June 7th, I believe. Yeah, that's actually the day of the California primary, I think, as well. So you can vote for him then. But if you're in your state, look it up ahead of time so you make sure that you're not left out of it. So Team Bernie on Twitter asks, any details as of when the Illinois late voting poll stations will open and the chances of Bernie winning the state? I honestly have no idea with respect to Illinois. So Momi on Twitter asks, one portion of the population is going to the extreme right and one to the left. Who will win? Is civil war our future? No, I don't think civil war is the future. And I would actually disagree with the statement that people are moving further to the left. Americans in general they've been relatively progressive. The problem is that they don't vote. So if you have a portion of the population, which is generally speaking older people who are more conservative voting, and younger people and more progressive people staying home, well, then that's what happens. So they have moved to the extreme right. This started from the 80s with Reagan. But I don't think that there's been much movement to the left, with the exception of the Democratic Party. They've also moved to the right. You're typically not going to see parties move away from each other in terms of ideology. So if the Republican Party moves to the right, then the Democratic Party is probably going to follow suit to make up for the area where they're leaving voters behind, because you want to stay in the center. That's what happens in a two-party system. And you're not going to see people, or parties deviate too far from the center. Genevieve asks, what's your favorite television show? House of Cards. And what am I watching right now? Daredevil. That's a good show on Netflix. I also like Orange is the New Black. And what else? There's one other show that I like. I love The Office and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Those are two great shows. Okay, Borge Boliskine asks, the people can win, still Bernie, but if it became necessary to write in Bernie, how easy would that be to do? It depends on your state. So you need to look that up ahead of time if you do plan on doing that. Because I don't know. It's going to be very different depending on where you live. Humanism First on Twitter asks, do you think that a Sanders-Stein run is realistic? No, it's not realistic. It'd be great, but never going to happen. Genevieve asks on Twitter, what was the first issue or thing you learned about Bernie that made you think this should be our president? His filibuster in 2010, where he stood on the floor of the Senate and filibustered Bush tax cuts for 8.5 hours. That was when I realized that was my dude right there. Okay. Hang on one second. Okay, so Michael Mahoney on Facebook wants to know, though I can guess, what is your opinion on Guantanamo Bay? I am 100% in favor of shutting it down. Having it there is a loophole, so that way we don't have to actually charge someone with a crime. It's not okay. It's egregious. We got to shut it down. Okay, Stephen Lambrecht, sorry, dude, I'm probably butchering your name, asks, since you're a supporter of environmental protection and call out Hillary for her reluctance to denounce fracking, let alone Republicans for their denial of climate change, I have a question on the facet of this issue that has not really been found much public attention. Consumption of animal products. So it's kind of long. Let me get to the question. Do you consider the issue important, and would you consider adding nutrition and its implications to the issues that you talk about on your show and expect progressive politicians to care about? Absolutely. So when it comes to what he's asking here is, when it comes to our consumption of meat, factory farming contributes a lot of greenhouse gases to the climate and, of course, accelerates climate change. And for me also, there's also another impact besides that. I think it's immoral to eat sentient beings that are really intelligent. So not all animals, but for example, pig, even though I love bacon and pork and I eat ham all the time, I think that it's immoral to eat pigs because they're so intelligent. See, they're as intelligent, if not more, than dogs, but yet the thought of eating a dog is inconceivable to me. So I think that I have a lot of cognitive dissonance when it comes to this problem, because I would like to at least stop eating pork because I feel guilty about it because they feel pain. They're highly intelligent. I don't want to do it, but I haven't done that yet, so I'm a hypocrite. And when it comes to factory farming with respect to cows and whatnot, we've got to cut it down. So as a species, we're going to have to come together. I don't know if I would be inclined to punish myself if nobody else will do it, because if I just stop buying meat, that won't make a big difference. But if as a society we come together and say, look, we're going to ban factory farming, we're going to have lab-grown meat, which is a possibility, then I'm in favor of that 100%. So yeah, this is an issue that's really important to me. I consider myself someone who is very cognizant of animal rights. I always have been, even though, again, I'm a hypocrite because I'm a meat eater. But when it comes to like eating chicken, I'm less concerned with that. I mean, I still feel guilty because they feel pain, but they're less intelligent than pigs and cows. So I don't feel as guilty about eating chicken, but I do it anyway. So yeah. Amir Mayman asks, this is really long. I need your help to publish WikiLeaks stuff. They released a batch of Hillary Clinton email, and there's a lot of material on direct media manipulation. I'll try to look into this. I haven't heard much about this, so I'm not sure about this. Okay, Kevin Boss asks, what inspired you to start the Humanist Report? So for me, I started it, one, because I wanted to start a podcast of some kind for several years now. I initially was going to start a gaming podcast, but I kind of lost interest and decided not to do it. But when I got accepted into the PhD program I'm in now, I was told I'd be teaching within 1 to 2 years. And because of that, I realized that I needed to learn how to be a better public speaker, and I really didn't have that much experience with it. So I thought if I put myself on YouTube, people are going to be dickheads to me, and they're going to rip me apart. And even though that would be painful, I'm going to get so much information about my speaking patterns, any verbal tics that I'm not aware of, how fast I speak, because I know I speak pretty fast. Anything, even if someone's an asshole, there's going to be a kernel of truth to what they're saying, potentially. So I did it for criticism, constructive criticism, and I think it's actually been very valuable. So I basically started it to learn how to speak publicly, and it turned into something that I didn't expect. Now, even with this in mind, I actually decided not to do the Humanist Report and decided to just stop with the idea of a podcast altogether because I didn't think it'd work. But it was actually my boyfriend who convinced me to go through with it, follow through with it, and just do the podcast. If it doesn't work, quit, and whatever. So I went in with the intention of, look, if I get like a couple hundred subscribers, cool beans, we're good. I'll keep doing it. But now I have 25,000 subscribers, and it makes my head explode whenever I think about it. So clearly it was a good idea to follow through with it. Okay. So Henrique on Facebook wants to know, hi, huge supporter from Norway here. Thanks, man. That means a lot. What should the U.S. top priority be in terms of both domestic and international global policy? I'd say climate change, but we can't get that done unless we get to campaign finance reform. So number one priority, hands down, is campaign finance reform, because unless you get money out of politics, you're not going to tackle a damn issue besides, or excuse me, you're not going to do anything but have a bunch of politicians that are just beholden to these special interests in corporations. So campaign finance, that's number one. I put that before any international or domestic policy. We've got to do that before anything, because it even impacts foreign policy. I mean, how many Republicans are yearning to go to war with Iran just because of defense contractors and how much money they make? It's astonishing if you really look into it. So campaign finance reform, hands down. I'll say it every time. Okay. Christopher Anderson on Facebook asks or says, watch your show every day and love your political analysis. That means the world. Thank you so much, man. What news outlets do you follow or subscribe to? I follow and subscribe to Young Turks and whatnot, Secular Talk. Although I try not to watch the Young Turks or Secular Talk because I don't want them to influence my opinion. I watch more of the indie people now, like the people like Ben Dixon and Sane Progressive, who are starting to blow up. I think they have phenomenal commentary. But I try not to watch too much of their topics that they discuss that I will also discuss because I don't want there to be any overlap. I don't want my opinion to be influenced. So I try to keep my opinion as unadulterated as possible. But with that being said, I love their shows a lot. Also, Tim Black as well. Those three are probably my main ones. Rachel Easton asks from Facebook, how do you think America will be like under a Clinton presidency? It'll be just like Obama, except a bit more conservative and maybe another war. So not good. Okay, Tiffany Bow-Beckerman asks 3 questions. Who inspires you? Who is your strongest supporter? And what are your guilty pleasures? So for the first 2, it's the same person. So my boyfriend inspires me. He's also my biggest supporter. It doesn't matter how much I fuck up. He will support me no matter what. And to have someone like that, that's so supportive, that's always there for you. Man, I don't know what I do without it. And when it comes to guilty pleasure, I got 2. So I eat really shitty foods. I like ice cream. That biggest guilty pleasure ever. And when it comes to my other guilty pleasure, I actually like really shitty reality shows on MTV. So there's a show called The Challenge. I am so addicted to that show. It's crazy. So that's my guilty pleasure. I am embarrassed to admit that, but man, I love it. I love the crazy shit that they have to do. Okay, Genesee M asks, what do you think about what happened in Arizona tonight? So I'm gonna wait to talk about this because I'll have a full video tomorrow. My full opinion on it will be on Tim Black's channel. I'm not happy about it. Let's just say that. And I'm going to be venting when I record the new episode tomorrow. Camel Jockey asks on Facebook, or excuse me, on YouTube, how old are you? You look very young. Thank you. I'm 28 years old. Emily Chan asks, what inspired you to start the Humanist Report? Okay, answer that. And how long have you been following politics and why do you follow it? So I'll get to that part of the question. So I've been following politics for since 2008 when Obama got into office, or when he was running against Hillary Clinton. I really liked what he had to say, and that got me into politics. And I follow it just because I care about it. It keeps me up at night. It consumes my brain time more than anything else. I'm always thinking about the election. I'm always thinking about how well Bernie Sanders is going to do. When it came to Iowa, for example, the first caucus, the first contest at all, I couldn't sleep the night before. This stuff is something I really care about. And that's why I follow it, because whatever happens has a big impact on the country, on the planet, on my life individually. So I think we all need to get involved and care about it. Robbie Greer asks on YouTube, can you find any shit on the Arizona primary results? Rigged, or your thoughts on the Young Turks interview with Bernie Sanders? So since I answered that, I'll get to the TYT interview. I wish that Cenk would have asked about the Arizona primary. That's one thing I really would have wished would have happened. But besides that, it was a great interview and it's actually substantive. Okay, so I have an answer for how to bring up the comment board. Saturn says, I do delete system 32. So how do I do that now? So delete. So no, I know. If you don't know, delete system 32, not a good thing to do. But that's what you tell to computer illiterate people if you're a troll or a dick. And I'm not that computer illiterate. I know about that and I'm not doing it. But that made me laugh, wanted to share. Okay, Christopher Hong on YouTube asks, how do you think the US would switch from a two-party system to a multi-party system? Wrong topic. Electoral reform. If you don't get electoral reform, You're going to be stuck with the same two parties. I would love to implement something like Germany's system. They have a mixed member system. You vote for a candidate and you vote for a party, and the party vote is proportional. So even if you lose in one area, you could win in another. I like this. I like this a lot because they have about 5 political parties. They have more than that, but they have 5 who actually can win and are electorally viable. So you have to have electoral reform. Electoral engineering is what I study, and it hurts my brain when I hear people say, look, if we just vote for third parties, they'll emerge and there'll be a new powerful party. That's true in some cases, in some countries, but it's not the way that it usually works. So you really have to push for electoral reform. So in addition to like Wolfpack and getting money out of politics, I want that to be a priority. Okay. Sam De La Cruz says, do you think that the Democratic Party will ultimately fail and a new party of progressives will be established? No. Here's what will happen. If any party fails, it'll be the Republicans. The Democrats will stay where they are. They'll probably move a little bit to the right, and a new progressive party will emerge. And that way you have one liberal and one conservative party, just like everywhere else. Because if you look at the Democratic Party, they're as conservative, if not more, than the UK's Conservative Party. So not going to happen. I would like for the Republicans to fail and the Democrats to just stay where they are, right wing, and then for a new actual left wing party to emerge. The Would Be King channel asks, I'm trying to adjust my glasses. I'm wearing contacts right now, so that's why I did that. I always have it. Are you single? No, I've been in a relationship for 6 years, and I'm very, very lucky to have someone who is not just there for me all the time, but is my best friend. So I feel very privileged to be in a relationship with the person who I'm with. Will Haas asks, will you continue to do THRO when you complete your schooling, possibly make this a career? That depends. It's up to you guys. I would love to make this a career, but I can't do it if I don't have viewers. I don't know what it's going to look like after the election, if people will still stick around since I cover that the most. We'll see. I'm having a blast, so I'm not going to go anywhere. I don't plan to go anywhere. So even if there's just a couple hundred people that watch each week, sure, I'll continue to do it. It just is, as long as there's people watching, I plan to do it. I have no plan on quitting. Ricardo Colin asks, if Clinton wins, I'm not voting for her. Do you think Bernie can win as a write-in? No, he cannot. We need electoral reform for something like this to happen, but highly unlikely. Now, there's a caveat. He would probably get more votes than any other write-in candidate in the history of the U.S., but can't win. Jack Ashton asks, not sure if you've covered this, Mike, but what is your opinion on SJWs, social justice warriors, feminists, and the various arguments on the internet they've been involved in? So I kind of covered the feminist thing. Social justice warriors are people who have good intentions but don't know what they're doing. They want to stifle speech in order to get to the ideal utopian society that they want, but that's not realistic. I understand that you want to fight against homophobia, but you can't ban people from saying the word fag, for example. That's basically the way I see them. I see them as authoritarian, honestly, so I'm not a fan of them, but I do acknowledge that they do have good intentions. I don't agree with what they have to say. Okay. So Joshua Marcella asks, do you see a future where the VA allows veterans to use medical cannabis as an alternative treatment for PTSD? Here in Maine, we're allowed to, but we keep it hush-hush from the VA to protect ourselves. I'm in Oregon, and we have just legal marijuana anyway, so it doesn't matter there. But when it comes to treatments for PTSD, my brother served in the Gulf War, and he has PTSD, and any treatment that will work is absolutely necessary, regardless if it's weed or not. We've got to allow this because PTSD is a horrible thing to live with. Just knowing someone who I care about who lives with this, it's really frightening. So I think whatever it takes, we've got to get them cured or get it under control. And if it's pot, then yes, legalize it. It shouldn't be just for this case. It should be legal anyway. Abu Team K on YouTube. I'm butchering so many of your guys' names, but I'm trying. Asks, I just don't trust these voting boxes. I guess my question is, what do you think? Yeah, if you have an electronic device, there's going to be the potential for error. For me, I live in Oregon. We have mail-in ballots, and it's unfathomable that any state would want to do it any other way. We have automatic registration, and we also have mail-in ballots, and that combination makes it extremely easy to vote. We just get our ballot mailed to us, and then we send it back, so we can take our time to research all the ballot propositions and candidates that we want to vote for. It's very simple, and I don't see how other states don't follow this method because it just makes sense. I'm Demon Wolf says, hey, Mike, what are you doing / who are you voting for if Hillary Clinton becomes the nominee? I don't know yet. I'll most likely vote for Jill Stein or write in Bernie Sanders as a vote of protest, but I'm not 100% sure yet. If she's up against Donald Trump, maybe I vote Hillary Clinton to vote against Donald Trump, but I don't know. Right now, I'm not leaning towards voting for Hillary Clinton. I just don't think I could vote for another establishment candidate again. Justin Gortoy on YouTube says, do you play video games? If so, what have you been playing? I mentioned this earlier, but yeah, I've been playing Mario Maker when I have time and love it. Bobby Mikado asks, I'd like to know why a person running for president isn't required to have experience or turn in a resume when I've had to have college education and experience in the field I'm applying for with at least 2 interviews. No, I think they do. You can't really run for president unless you did something big. So typically you have to be a member of the House or Senate or a governor. Or if you come from the business world, you have to be incredibly successful. Or in the case of Donald Trump, you just have to be born into it. But you have to have some type of thing on your resume that makes you qualified. I don't think people would vote for you if that weren't the case. Flash of Thunder on YouTube says, I'll predict that the economy will crash this year or next year. What is your opinion on the economy and little regulations on Wall Street? I hate it. I hate that there's no regulations, and I think you're right, unfortunately. I want you to be wrong, but I think we're headed for another crash. Robert G. Houston on YouTube asks, was Bernie's candidacy the inspiration of starting this channel? Or was it the fight to get money out of politics? It was the fight to get money out of politics. I started this channel and intended to cover Bernie Sanders, but not as much as I am doing. But I kind of just went with the flow because as the election went on and Bernie started to do better, I got excited and just wanted to talk about him, and I just went with the flow. If it came up that there was a Bernie Sanders news story, I wanted to talk about it. So everything I do is just what I want to talk about and also what my viewers want me to talk about. So Sagacious Fox on YouTube asks, is UFO disclosure a high priority? Not to me, no. Disclose it, but I don't think that we've been visited by extraterrestrial beings. Do I think aliens exist? Sure, of course. I mean, it's a big universe, but do I think we've been visited by them? Probably not. Do I think the government has information about being visited? Probably even more unlikely. So it's not really something I care about very much. Simon Anderson on YouTube says, how old are you and where do you live? Huge fan. Thanks, buddy. I think I mentioned this. 28 and I live in Oregon. Bradley Tim says, if Hillary snakes the nomination, would you advise Bernie Sanders to run under Teddy Roosevelt's original Progressive Party? Sure, I'd consider voting for him, but he's not going to do that. I don't think he would run and risk a Republican getting in the White House, but who knows? Okay, so Merrick Waitweg says, do you think the people of Israel, not the government, would support Bernie Sanders? I have some friends in Tel Aviv who say Bernie's the best chance to get sustainable peace. Yeah, I think they absolutely would. He's a great candidate, and many people call Bernie Sanders an extremist in the U.S., but when you go abroad, his policies are very center-leftish and very centrist. So in U.S. context, sure, he's far left, but in actuality, it's not the case worldwide. Andre on YouTube says, what are your life goals? Do you plan to marry and have kids with your partner? I don't really know what my life goals are, just to be happy and successful. And yeah, I do plan to marry my partner. In terms of kids, we'll talk about that in the future. It depends on if we're financially stable enough and if we are certain that we can actually give kids a good life. And part of that comes with financial responsibility and stability. So it depends. If not, I have a bajillion nieces and nephews. No, literally, I have like 16 nieces and nephews. I have one great nephew. So, I mean, they'll all be having kids, and, I can be an uncle if not. So I'm not sweating it. Convert to Equalist on YouTube says, how would you like to see the US deal with ISIS or just Islamic terrorism in general? Yeah, I'm 100% with Bernie. You've got to form a coalition. You've got to work with our allies in NATO. You can't do it alone. The US is not the world's police. And that is a driving philosophy of my foreign policy positions. Marcus says, what's your educational background? I kind of talked about this. So I have my bachelor's in political science. I have my master's in political science. I just got that last year. And I'm getting my PhD in public policy. And what I'm studying is campaign finance laws and how money in politics impacts politicians at the local levels. Hang on one sec. Solokin Sekwa says, I found you guys via Secular Talk. I like Kyle a lot, and you guys seem good. However, are you going to solely focus on the American political race or delve into different topics, i.e. religion, science, SJWs, the far right? Absolutely. So once this election is over, which I'm excited for it to be over, I can do what I more originally intended, which is to talk about a broad range of topics. So sure, I'll touch on SJWs, excuse me. I'll touch on more scientific issues. I would love to talk about religion because I am a very strong atheist, and it's something that I'm very passionate about, is to talk about religion and kind of condemn acts of religious bigotry when I see it. Also, I would like to do charity drives. I've always wanted to start a charity, so maybe like doing a charity drive, one per month as part of the channel. Also, I would love to interview different people from different perspectives. So I'd like to interview like animal rights activists. I'd like to interview even people I disagree with, like conservative Republicans. I don't want to debate them. I just want to interview them because I think that, discussion and dialogue is important. And we'll see where it goes. But yeah, I would love to broaden out, but I'm so involved in this election personally that I can't see myself even caring about anything else right now until it's over. Andrew Cordova on YouTube says, weird but serious question. What do you think about robots taking people's jobs? No, this isn't a weird question at all. I think this is serious. Robots and automated things will definitely take a lot of our jobs, and I think that that's a problem. So this is why I advocate for a basic minimum income. This is a guaranteed income that all citizens have each month, so that way they never fall below a certain level of poverty. And there's one country that did this. It's either Norway or Sweden. So we'll see how it works out. But if it works out there, then we now have the precedent that it could work elsewhere. Now, again, smaller populations, but I don't know what else we could do because this is the direction that we are going in. So unless we get more public sector jobs, who knows? That's a big problem. ATL Richard 77 on YouTube says, can we get more Jill and or Bernie videos? I am trying. I will definitely try. Bernie's my favorite topic, so you can expect more of that. But with Jill, I reached out to her people. They got back in touch with me. I'm trying to plan an interview. I don't know if that's going to come to fruition or not, but just know that's something I would love to have happen. They're incredibly nice, by the way. So yes, I'll try to cover Jill Stein. It seems like a lot of you really like her and liked when I talked about it the other day. So I'll try to get to that. Okay. The Dynast Queen says, you can pick whichever question from below. Or hurt my feelings and pick none. It's your choice. What games are you currently playing or interested in? Super Mario Maker, Uncharted 4. Do you think Sanders is running a good campaign? If not, what would you suggest he do? He's running a good campaign because he's clearly successful, coming from nothing, but he's got to reach out more to the African-American community and the LGBT community and the Latino community and do more outreach. He has, me and Tim Black were talking about this. He has some surrogates such as Killer Mike, Nina Turner, but he's got to do more. Other question. Since you're getting your PhD, what other political-based aspirations do you have for the future? I plan, honestly, just to do research and write books about my research, teach classes, and do the podcast. I don't really have any definite plans. Maybe that's a bad thing, but my goal is just to do things that make me happy. So for whatever reason I get into a job with this degree that I don't like, I'm going to quit if I can afford to do it anyways. Because I think life's about being happy. And, I have no real goals other than just to be as successful as I can and be happy. Zach YT says, hey, Mike, I'm a huge Bernie Sanders supporter from Poland. I can't vote and I'm under 18. Is there anything I can do to help this campaign apart from making donations? Yes. You can sign up to Phone Bank at BernieSanders.com. Google Bernie Sanders Phone Bank and you'll go straight to it. Many international fans of Bernie are doing this. And trust me, it helps immensely. So you can do that. Absolutely. Per the Lemon Curry on YouTube says, congrats, mate, on 25,000. Thank you so much. I have a random question. Why do Americans drink so much bottled water? Is your tap water bad or something? This is such a great question because it is really dumb. Now, there's two components to this. So once bottled water started to appear and become more common in stores, you started to see less and less drinking fountains. So because of this, I think that people just get thirsty and they want to drink water, so they just buy it because it's convenient. It's up at the counters usually. It's just brilliant marketing. But I think it's stupid that we're buying bottled water. I mean, how much of a scam is that? We shouldn't be buying something that's a human right. So it's crazy. Nestle will disagree with me though. Okay, so I'll get to another question. Have you taken the political compass test? If so, what were your results? Yeah, I have. So I'm like 7.8 in terms of libertarian and liberal. So I'm to the left of Bernie Sanders, and I'm very low on the libertarian scale. What I'll do is maybe when this video is uploaded, I'll just put a link in the comment section of a picture of my results. What will happen if Hillary is indicted? I don't know. Does it mean that she drops out? Probably not. I don't think she's going to give up, because if she is indicted and she is found guilty, well, then she gets head of state immunity. So she's going to still run, but it would probably hurt her campaign. I don't know how much, though. So who knows? Mike Hermita says, my question is, what happened that made your YouTube channel so popular? No idea, man. I honestly have no idea. We started the year with 5,000 subscribers, and it just blew up. I could attribute it to a couple of videos. I did one where I talk about the difference between Bernie and Hillary when it comes to civil rights activism in the past. But excuse me, that's one of the videos that blew up. I had another one that blew up and got like a couple 100,000 views. I honestly have no idea. It's really difficult for me to determine that. So I'm going to try to move quickly because I need to get off here soon, and I have quite a bit of questions left, but I really want to try to answer all of them. So XIAGC123 asks, will you please use your master's degree expertise in political science to teach us some interesting things about it? That's what I'm trying to do every single day. But I'll do my best. Zver Thorudson, I destroyed your name, man. I'm really sorry. From YouTube says, in what state do you live, and can you give a brief comment about your political situation? There. Oregon. And as for my political situation, I don't really follow Oregon politics. I'm pretty happy with the political situation, because even the Oregon Republican Party is relatively left-wing, just because you don't get elected if you're not, at least somewhat liberal in Oregon. So our political situation, overall, the state of the union is good. Okay, so Oni Mortar asks, what do you think of the Satanic Temple, an atheistic religious organization using current religious freedom bills to point out the hypocrisy of the religious right and how they only want to protect rights for themselves and not other religions? I love the Satanic Temple. They are the best trolls ever right now. Now, I'm not trying to disrespect what they believe. I don't know if they're just trolling or whatnot, but what they're doing is a public service, and I love it. I love watching the crazy right-wing extremists heads explode who want a theocracy for Christianity, but not for other religions. I love it so much. That's all I got to say. Sully Sullivan asks, what's your favorite video game? So favorite of all time would probably be Mario 64 for Nintendo 64. That and Donkey Kong 64 was pretty good. Nintendo 64 was a pretty bomb-ass system, I'll just say that. Oh, but also, you know what? Grand Theft Auto 5, that was a really great game. That might be, maybe that's my second favorite game of all time. I love that game. Casey Butcher says, if you ever have free time, what do you do with it? Love your channel. Thanks so much, buddy. I just kind of watch stuff on Netflix or YouTube. That's basically it. I binge watch H3 Productions so much on YouTube. I've watched all of their videos, but I watch at least an hour a day. It's just hilarious. If you're not subscribed to them, check it out. They're blowing up right now. Ethan and Hila Klein, they are so funny. Love them. I watch them all the time. Hydeberry says, what ideas do you have for perhaps doing scheduled broadcasts with other channels? I don't know yet. I don't think I'd be doing live shows anytime soon, because I'm not going to compete with Ben Dixon and Tim Black. I'd rather them get the views. And besides, I don't like doing live shows because, as you see, I'm not very tech savvy or know what I'm doing. So there's no comment box, for example. So we'll see. I don't know if I'm going to be doing many live shows. If they are, they'll probably be more impromptu or sporadic like they are now. But, we'll see. Never say never. Legendary Pete says, I'm curious to see your reaction to the mess in AZ from tonight. Yeah, it's a mess. You described it very well. I'll be talking about that tomorrow on the podcast. Classic Gamer says, if Bernie and Tim, along with other Berniecrats, lose their respective primaries, do you believe a new, actually progressive party will form? Would you possibly be part in helping its formation? I'd love to, but I don't think it's going to happen unless we get electoral reform. So unless one of the other two parties collapses, I don't expect a new party to emerge out of the blue. I think you really need electoral change if you really want a third or fourth party. Lorenzo Shoot says, can you cover this article? It's about Arizona, Sanders. It's not a clickable link. I just have screenshots. Sanders wins the real vote in Arizona. Well, if it's about Arizona, I can promise you I'll be talking about it tomorrow. I've done a lot of research on it, so any and everything that's important, I think I've got covered. Austin Kirby says, simple question, please. I'm a huge fan of Bernie, but the media has pushed me away from following him as much. Is there really anything we can do to make Bernie more known? You can share and share shows like Benjamin Dixon, Insane Progressive, and Tim Black and myself, because we talk about him all the time, if you do want the word to be known. So Steve Abdul says, Mike, are you helping to get more millennials out to vote? I hope so. By watching the videos, I hope I galvanize them to go out and vote. Bobby Mikado says, I love your program. Thank you so much. Learn so much. When someone has never held a government position, do they get on-the-job training? They basically got to learn shit once they get into office. There's no learning modules that you take at the computer when you are elected in the House of Representatives. You get in and you got to figure shit out. And that's with many jobs. So Marique Waitwig asks, do you think the mainstream media will be relevant 10 years from now if they continue to do as they are doing right now? Probably in 10 years, they'll still be relevant, but it just depends. Younger people don't watch the mainstream media. So as older people who really watch the mainstream media consistently, as they die out, unfortunately, the mainstream media may also kind of tend to die out or disintegrate. It's just a fact. When you look at demographics, younger people are not really interested in what they have to say. They watch YouTube shows like The Young Turks and whatnot. So it will become increasingly irrelevant, but I don't think it's going to be like in 10 years or so. Sorry, I just got a tweet as well. J Vintage 1970 says, do you see yourself throwing your hat into the political arena? And if so, will you do it as soon as possible? What positions are you considering going for? Oh, man. Honestly, I have no interest in running for public office. If I did run for public office, it would be because I think that I can make a difference and I would be compelled to. But I don't want to go to Washington, D.C. right now, so I wouldn't run for Congress. The only thing I would consider is maybe like the Oregon legislature, but I have no reason to do that because I'm pretty satisfied with them right now. So honestly, I can't see it. But, in the future, if I really feel as though there's like no progressives and I got to be the one lone voice, maybe then. But I honestly don't want to. I don't want to do it. Jared A. Hoker says, would appearing on independent shows like this and TYT and other independent outlets help Bernie energize young voters? I don't think so, because everyone who watches these shows already knows about Bernie and are energized. So I don't think it's going to do very much. I honestly think he should focus his efforts not on shows like Humanist Report, but on shows where people don't know about him. So he should be reaching out to the African-American community and go on shows that they watch or advertise during shows where the demographics are higher for African-Americans and Latinos. That's what I think you should do. That's like, you got to target where you're already losing. It doesn't really make sense to double down and reach out to the community that already supports you, like young people. Robert Smith says, 507 videos, and you already have over 26,000 subscribers, and a terrific accomplishment. Thank you very much, buddy. So you're obviously on something great. Question. What got you interested in starting your own news channel on YouTube, and are there any future planned changes to it? Also, did someone help you get started with this channel? For example, TYT helped with Kyle's Secular Talk news channel. Nobody helped me get started, but Tim Black is a big source of inspiration. He's a mentor for me, gives me advice and tips all the time. So he's definitely a helper, but nobody helped me get this started at all. And I got interested and started it. As I mentioned earlier, I wanted to practice public speaking, and that's one of the biggest reasons why I did it. Catherine Busby asks, what do you think about the Arizona voter suppression fraud? Okay, so again, I'll definitely address this tomorrow. I got a lot to say about it, trust me. LF says, have you ever met Senator Sanders yourself? If not, is that something we might be able to witness on your channel? No, probably not. I've never met Senator Sanders. He's probably not going to come on the Humanist Report. And I wouldn't like try to get him on because I think it's going to be a waste of time. 100% of my viewers are already going to vote for Bernie Sanders. So, him coming on is going to influence that. Would I like to meet Bernie Sanders? Sure. But I think that he honestly would spend his time better reaching out to people who don't know about him. McEwen Rail says, do you think we should move to a STV system? I like STV. I prefer an alternate vote system where you rank your votes. I mean, you rank your votes in STV systems, I believe, as well. But with the alternate vote, you can vote for multiple people. You just have first, second, and third preference. And, if your candidate loses, then it goes to the next candidate. And STV, the votes will transfer to another candidate. So your vote isn't going to be wasted in an STV system. So I like it, but maybe I'd like an alternate vote system more. I don't know. Anything better than a two-party system, which is the product of a majoritarian single-member district winner-take-all system, is better, in my opinion. David Van de Velde says, I don't know why that was so difficult for me to get out. I'm getting tired. I got to get off here pretty soon, but I'm almost there. Are you into European politics? If the answer is no, would you like to get into it and do videos on it? Yeah, I like German politics. I think it's pretty interesting. I like UK politics. Canadian politics is important. Australian politics is important. Oh, yeah. I would love to get into it. Probably after this election, you'll see that. I have covered Jeremy Corbyn in the UK and Justin Trudeau in Canada, but not enough. So you can expect that I will be trying to cover them more. Dear Mike, from Comedy Hero, how did you get interested in politics? So I answered this before. A war class that I took, it was 15 credits in college, and also the 2008 election. Obama got me interested single-handedly, and you could expect that many people will be interested because of Bernie Sanders. Okay, 3000 Christian asks, if you ask me, there will be another crisis within 2 years, probably just one. Would you rather have a crisis happen now, which could help Sanders' campaign tremendously, or would you rather wait having the crisis until 2 years from now? I don't necessarily think that it would help Bernie Sanders, but I just don't want a crisis to happen at all. I think it would be horrible either way. And we barely got out of the 2008 financial crisis, and I don't want to slide back into it. So there's never a good time. It's never going to be a good thing. Okay. Will you write in Bernie Sanders in November if he doesn't win the DNC nomination? I am. Potentially. Because I live in a blue state. I have the luxury of not worrying about spoiling the vote or whatever. I might do that. I might vote for Jill Stein. It really depends. Give me 1 second. Let me make sure everything's still up and running and live. Oh, yeah. We have 90 viewers. So, all right, cool. Besides the comment board not being there, seems like everything's going okay. Okay, so Blood, Flowers, and Hurricanes asks, is this you? And he has a picture of some dude taking a selfie. No, it's not me. I'll upload this so people can see it, and I'll put a link in the comment section. I'll just put the comment on Imager. Sequenced says, if Hillary becomes president, is it possible that people will get so riled up that riots could occur? Probably not. Traveler Finder says, do you advocate for robots to have a right? What's your stance on polygamy, and do you consider yourself to be left of Bernie? Yes, I am to the left of Bernie. No, I don't think robots should have rights unless they become like conscious and whatnot, but my whole thing for sentience is if they feel pain and if they're aware of their existence. So, I mean, if you're a sentient robot, you could be aware of your existence, but it's probably not the same as humans. So I'm not going to be concerned about that. I'm going to make sure we have equality for humans first. And what's your stance on polygamy? I would be more in favor of legalizing polyamory than polygamy because polygamy has a lot of religious roots. So most of the time, polygamy involves one man dominating or not dominating, but having like several wives, and they're kind of subordinate to him. But when it comes to polyamory, it's just, you have an equitable distribution of power in the relationship. And it's just, several people together. It's not for me, but I don't care. I don't think that we should penalize these people. If you want to do that, then have at it. It's a free country. So do you. Freddie H says, can you elaborate on your Bernie or bust position? Yeah, I've wavered back and forth. I'm on the fence, leaning towards writing in Bernie or voting Jill Stein, and leaning against Clinton. Mariali 96 says, where do you see yourself in 10 years? Hopefully, hopefully successful financially, or at least stable, because I haven't had that. My family, growing up, we've been really socioeconomically disadvantaged, and going through school and trying to focus on that, it's been difficult to work full-time anyways and be productive. So hopefully just successful in a career that I like, and maybe still doing the Humanist Report. Christian Juarez says, which federal regulation, subsidy, or piece of economic legislation do you hate or disagree with the most? I do not like that we subsidize the fossil fuel industry at all. Bill Plunk says, where do you gain your progressive ideology from? Just all natural. I'm a humanist, so I want people to succeed and be happy, and that's where it comes from. Annette Cleary says, congrats, I love your show. Thank you so much. Feeling a little bit blue about the elections and Bernie's loss in Arizona last night. Any words of encouragement? Yeah, he just passed Hillary nationally in a new Bloomberg poll. It's not over yet. We're going to keep going. Dead Meat 343 says, has Bernie Sanders running for president encouraged people to not vote for Clinton, edit the Bernie or bust movement, or do you think the same people would not vote for Clinton regardless? No, I think Bernie has encouraged people to not just accept what the establishment gives you. So yeah, I think that he had a big impact there. I probably would have just voted Clinton if there wasn't Bernie Sanders. But now that I got to experience a true progressive that's actually willing to represent me, I don't want to go back to, picking the lesser of two evils, and many people don't. So I think he has influenced the country that way. So X-Row5 Han says, thoughts on Michael Moore and his documentaries? I like him, but sometimes he could be obnoxious in terms of just using like, not hype, I don't want to say hyperbole, but he gets too emotional and a little bit too ridiculous. Like in Capitalism, a Love Story, he like went in front of Wall Street and was like speaking to them with a megaphone, and that was a little bit corny for me, but the overall message is clear, the facts are there, and I like it because of that. So Marique Waitweg says, what positive or negative consequences would President Sanders have regarding the friendship between the US and Europe? None. I can't see that. I can only see him having positive consequences. Robin Adams says, is there anything that you agree with the right wing on? And if so, what is it? I agree with the concept of small government. I think government should be as small as it needs to be. But in the end, I don't care. I just want the policy position. So other than that, no. I disagree a lot with them. I'm to the left of Bernie Sanders, and you can expect that I don't like what, especially the Republicans have to say about any political issue. I just can't see myself agreeing with them on anything. Comedy Hero says, dear Mike, I think politics is very interesting, but I cannot stand all the boring legal talk that is tied to it once you get into the nitty gritty. As someone who studies political science, how do you handle all of the less exciting aspects around it? What do you want to do after you graduate? Look, I don't know, because I can't empathize with that, because I live in the really boring legal aspects. Part of my work as a graduate research assistant is I just sit there and I enter in numbers from precinct after precinct after precinct. I analyze the data. I create charts. I probably created like over 50 charts that are published in books and whatnot. That and I love doing it. So I love getting into the really boring, tedious aspects of it. So I don't know. I can't offer any advice there because I absolutely love it. I feel like I'm meant to be a political scientist. And it shows because nobody else would like to do research and edit bibliographies and shit like that. So I don't know, man. And what do I want to do after I graduate? I'd love to teach a class or two here and there. And, do the Humanist Report still. I don't know, maybe be a political consultant. I have no idea. I just want to make sure that I do something that makes me happy, that allows me to still have a life and not just, be consumed by work. Because I was there before, it wasn't happy. So I don't want to go back to doing that. I'm not saying I'm lazy. I'm going to work really hard, and I am doing that now, but I just want to be happy. Ken Darner says, why didn't the AZ Dem Party update their voting rolls? Independents that registered as Dems are being turned away. Could you verify? Yeah, this is happening. I will cover this tomorrow on my show because the fuckery is ridiculous. There's so much stuff going on here. So absolutely, I'm going to talk about this, and best believe I'm going to be fired up. So that'll be something to look forward to. Okay, the broccoli industry on YouTube says, I know you know the harm the cattle industry does to our planet. Can you talk to your viewers about this someday? They don't necessarily have to quit eating beef and other animal products, but I hope that we can at least find some agreement that if we can get the government to invest in lab-grown meat, we can help end climate change by a great amount. Absolutely. I'm 100% on board with this. And I would even quit eating meat if, if we made like a collective effort from the US to do it. But I'm not going to just penalize myself and nobody else is going to do it. Lab grown meat is a hugely important thing. And yes, I definitely want to talk about this. Joey Baseball says, do you have a sister and is she single? I have two sisters. One of them is married with 4 kids, and another one is married with 3 kids, although currently getting divorced. But since she's getting divorced, I don't think that she's going to want to date anytime soon. So unfortunately, the answer is going to be a negative. Okay. Focus Flute asks, will it ever be acceptable to come out as an atheist in the Bible Belt? I honestly can't answer that because I've never even been to the Bible Belt. So I have no idea if it's acceptable to come out. Where I live in the Pacific Northwest, many people are atheists. So it's almost weird to come out if you're my age as someone who is religious. So it's the opposite. So I can't even speak to that. But I would love for it to be acceptable for people to be able to come out as an atheist. Why shouldn't you? I mean, it's the most reasonable, logical position. So what I would like to see is that just do away with religion and people decide to become atheists or just use religion as a more personal thing. I'm fine with that. But it should be acceptable for anyone to come out as anything that they want, so long as they're not harming other people. Sorry, my throat is dry. I've been talking for a long time. Even before this, I've been doing interviews and stuff all day, so bear with me here. So Kathleen St. Clair says, hi, humanist. I like your posts so much. That means the world. Thank you so much. All the nice comments, you guys. Seriously, it makes my day. If I'm having a bad day, I'll read the YouTube comment section of my channel. And even though reading YouTube comments is typically bad, it's great on my channel. So I appreciate this so much, you guys. It really does mean the world. Will you please do a piece on Ken O'Keefe's initiative to change the world and stop never-ending war? She provided a link. I will look into this because I haven't heard about this. BarbTube01 says, congratulations, Mike, on 20,000 or 25,000. Well deserved. Thank you so much. What the hell happened in Arizona last night with voter suppression? Just what you said. There's voter suppression, and I'm going to talk about it. And also, I think you guys will be really stoked to see the discussion that I had with Tim Black, because we were both pissed and fired up. You're going to love it. Cameron says, as an Australian, I love Bernie Sanders. He basically wants to implement what we almost already have and truly believe if he doesn't get elected, the world will fall soon, either by climate change, financial collapse, by corruption, or even terrorism, allowing fear to get far-right fanatics in office of many countries. Do you think this could happen too? By the way, love your show. Yeah, you know, it's really pivotal that we get someone who's serious about climate change. Hillary Clinton is taking money from pro-fracking companies in the fossil fuel industry, and I don't trust that she is going to do anything about climate change. I think when she speaks about climate change, she's simply just pandering to us. So I agree. The time to act is now. Okay, I've got 3 more, and then I'm going to wrap it up. Dan Hooligan says, since major cities require the importation of resources, are they inherently unsustainable? That really depends on the city and whatnot. I don't know if I could speak to that. That'd be kind of a complex question. Is evolution possible when a species insists that it is separate from the community of life? Ooh, that's a tough one. I think social evolution is possible. I think that biological evolution is still possible, regardless if you acknowledge it or not. It's a natural phenomenon for the most part. I mean, you have artificial selection and whatnot, but yeah, I think it is. Have you ever promoted organic gardening / permaculture? I've never even heard about permaculture. And I haven't promoted organic gardening, but I think that everyone should get into it if they can, because if you want to buy organic fruits and vegetables, they're so expensive. And that's one reason why, for me, you know, a lot of the times when, you know, times are tough, I just got to buy regular. I can't buy organic because the extra money is a lot. So Cameron asks, what do you think of Australia's political situation? And if you like Malcolm Turnbull, and what is your favorite party there? No, I don't like Malcolm Turnbull. Sorry, guys. But I will say that he is better than Tony Abbott. So congrats on getting that buffoon out of office. But my favorite party is Green in Australia. I'd vote, basically, if you go to every single country, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to say the Green Party is my favorite in all these countries. Okay, last question. Gold Wolf says, TYT got Bernie to do an interview. Can you get Jesse Ventura? What are your thoughts on Jesse, the governing body Ventura? I think he's a character. I love him. I don't agree with, some of his more libertarian ideas, or all of them anyways. But I love Jesse Ventura. And sure, he's someone who I'd like to talk to someday. So we will certainly see. Okay, so I need to get off here. Let me just go through and check to make sure that we're still live and it didn't just cut off recording. This is so embarrassing that I don't know what I'm doing here, but okay. Yeah, so a bunch of people asking why I didn't put up a comment section. If you're just joining the chat, I have tried to get that started. So from what I understand and what the comments are telling me is that it's just automatically enabled. So I don't understand why it wouldn't be enabled. So I'm going to have to look into this, but the next time I will put this up. I don't have time to get into comments from you guys anyway in the chat, but I will do this again. This isn't going to be the last time. So we'll get it right next time, and I'll actually plan it. This was more impromptu. So yeah, we've got a bunch of... Hey, Mike, you should reach out to John from Bernie 2016 TV. I did actually. So if you go to their channel, I did an interview with Richard Green there. Love them. They're great people. I am in contact with them and made a lot of good friends from them, particularly Chris. Shout out to you, and Richard Green. Great people. Okay. Oh, interesting. Somebody says, hey, I used to bag your groceries at Fred Meyer. Stumbled across your channel. Love the content and honest political commentary. Glad to hear you and your boyfriend are still together and happy as ever. Wish you all the best and possibly see you around town. Hey, that's pretty cool. Shout out, man. I don't know. Get in touch with me to see if I can remember you. Yes. So another question. What do you think about new atheism? I'm a new atheist. I consider myself a new atheist. I tend to... Somebody did an Ethan Bradbury. If you watch H3, it's an inside joke. Yeah. Love it. So new atheist. I consider myself a new atheist, but I'm not necessarily in agreement with Sam Harris on everything. I think I'm also not in agreement with the opposite side, who he's battling with, like Reza Aslan and whatnot, and Cenk Uygur. I kind of feel like I'm in the middle. I'm like a third way between both of them. But by and large, I would fit the definition of new atheist. So yeah, I think that's about all the questions. And again, I'll do this again. So thank you all so much for tuning in. This was my first live show ever. No comment board, which sucks. I have a comment section in the video that I'm looking at, but it's just a group chat. So I'm literally just talking to myself. I said hello and nobody responded. Actually, let me say hi to myself. Hey, Mike. There we go. Now it feels like I'm doing something. Anyways, I am tired. I'm going to quit the broadcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for all of your questions. I went through all of them, I think. If I missed them, then comment down below. I'll go through and answer the questions in the comment section if you have any questions that you want to leave. So leave it down below and I'll get to it if I missed it here and didn't answer your question through Twitter, YouTube, or Facebook. So I will see you guys later. Thank you so much for tuning in.